Well, in my last video, I was sealing the ends of some logs that I got that were, it was a storm damaged tree, and the lady called me and asked me if I wanted some of it. Sure, yeah, I want some if you don't mind. So tree service came, cut the tree. I told her what I wanted was the main log. They cut it up and everything, and they left the log. It was about 9 or 10 feet long. So I cut the log in half, and then I cut one half of it in half. So I've got one long log and two shorter logs, and I sealed the ends of those in that last video. And the main reason I was sealing them is because my saw was kind of messed up and it wouldn't run right. So that way, that was about 2 weeks ago. That keeps the ends from checking before I can get a chance to process it. Well, all my parts came in for my saw. I got it fixed, and man, it runs like a top. I mean, it runs great. I can't complain about it. It runs really good. So today I'm going to go up there and process those logs. There were a lot of comments that were wanting to see what I do with the logs once after I've got them sealed and once I get ready to process them up. So that's what today's all about. So let's go get started. Well, all right, we're up here at my log pile at my shed, and I'm getting ready to process these maple logs that a lady gave me. Really nice logs too, good spalting and stuff in the bottom, and it actually carries on through, on up the trunk. But I wanted to show you, this is the log here that I had cut, and this is the crack that I filled with the wax and all a couple weeks ago, and you can see the crack is not grown at all, and neither has this one. This wax has really sealed this up good. If I had not put the wax on there, I would already have a lot bigger checking on these logs, but now I'm ready to start processing them. These two here, this one and this one here, will be cut into bowl blanks and different types of turning blanks, things like that. But this other log here, I'm going to have it sawn into logs. And actually, I'm going to build a sawmill one day, but I don't have one yet. So anyway, I'll have to take that one somewhere. But these two here are what we're going to focus on today, and we're going to start cutting down some bowl blanks and things like that. I want to get the pith out of it to stop the rest of the cracking. The logs will still warp, but that's just fine. Once the logs are dry and all that, then I'll go back and I'll cut any other kind of blanks or anything else I want to out of it. Alright, well, let's get this thing started. I'm anxious to run this saw. Okay, well, I guess I'll start with this log here. And I've got it up off the ground. It's laying on some 4x4s. Just to maybe help keep my chain from getting in the dirt or anything. And let's see, yeah. I'm going to take about 6 inches off of this log and I'll reseal this big disc. And that I may end up using it as like a large natural edge bowl, end grain turn. But then the others I'm going to cut in half and make these two into big blanks, and I'll cut the pith out of them. So, well, let's get this thing started. That's nice. I'm going to take that back down to the shop. I'm going to take this one back down to the shop. I'm going to seal up the ends of that, and this will be a nice end grain turn bowl for that. Alright. Okay, now I'm just going to cut this one in half, and then I'm going to start working on taking the pith out. Thing's running so much better. Alright, flip this one off. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this pith out right here. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it above, mark it here and here, and then I'm going to come back here and mark it on this side of the pith, which it doesn't look actually straight. So it's actually kind of turned, kind of at an angle a little bit. So, but I'm going to cut that pith out just like that. But I'll mark it here, just on this side of the pith, and then I'll mark it here on this side of the pith. And then I'll mark it back here on both sides, and then I'll just try to run my chain straight between those marks. And I'm just going to try to cut as straight down as I possibly can. All right, well, let's get that going. Make sure I'm still recording. Somebody's yard, most likely, you know, you may have nails in there or wire around it or something like that, but we're going to give it a try. Let's see, you know. long piece there. That's gonna be a pretty bowl right there. Oh boy, that natural edge. I'm gonna put it on the truck so I can seal it up. And then I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this. This will be a bowl blank, and that'll be a bowl blank. Man, I want you to look at this. Look at this. Man, isn't that pretty? That's some pretty wood. That's some really, really pretty wood. But anyway, this was the stump, the very bottom of the stump, and I got these 3 pieces out of it. Now I can come back and cut any kind of blanks I want to out of these. They're still, you know, full size, but now they shouldn't give me any real problems with cracking and things like that. You can see other logs that I have up here, like this one here, that I've cut the pith out of, and you know, it's been up here, it's completely dry. There's almost virtually no cracking in it. So yeah, you know, this works really well. Now you can see over here, this one has some checking, okay, but you know, most of that will be cut out in a wood turning anyway. But you can see that once you cut the pith out, it really relieves a lot of stresses in that wood. So this stuff should do me pretty well. I'll come back up with my Sharpie and I'll just label it as maple a little bit later. But I can take these things down to my bandsaw and I can cut out vase blanks. You know, I can cut a block out of here or whatever. These corners, I mean, I can use, if they're big enough, I can use them for Christmas ornaments or pins or just anything. I can use just about every bit of this, you know, or I can just use it for bowls, you know, whatever I want to do with it. But that's good, man. I'm glad my saw run great. It's got a lot of power now, and it's not going dead on me anymore. So it cut all this pretty easy. But this stuff here is going back down to the shop. Let me see, this end here needs to be sealed and this end needs to be sealed. Those will go down to the shop, and I'll take these and put these on the bandsaw, and I'll cut the pith out that way, and that'll give me 4 maple boards, quarter sawn maple boards, very, very stable wood. So all right, I'm gonna gather all my stuff and get back down to the shop. Oh yeah, and this pile of shavings here, a lot of that I'll cast in resin. It makes some really interesting pins and bottle stoppers and even bowls. And but most of it will end up in my compost bin and help me grow some tomatoes next year. All right. All right, right here I've just marked the edges of the pith, which is like right here and here. So I marked that up top. Did the same thing down here. I'm just gonna mark this off so we can cut it out. I just use these heavy carpenter's pencils to do this kind of work here. Alright, and I'll do this with all those pieces, and they go to the bandsaw. Let me get my safety glasses so we can get these things cut and get my air going to the, I'll get my air going. And we're just going to cut these out with a bandsaw. cut it off. That was catching here, I couldn't hardly push it through. Trying to make that easier. Now, I'm not worried about this being perfectly straight or anything like that. This board is going to do its own thing until I get it processed into an actual board. You know, once this thing dries up and everything real good, then I'll take it out to the jointer and I'll joint this face or joint this edge, and I'll joint one face, run it through the planer, and I'll have a good board, a really nice, good maple board. Now, this one here, this is all pith. Okay, this wood is not good for much. It's very, very unstable. It's going to crack and break. You could try stabilizing it with like cactus juice or some type of wood stabilizer. You could do that, and that may work. And because these are fairly good sized blanks here. This is about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, but most likely my smoker is gonna see this one once it dries, and I'll probably just use it in the smoker. But these two pieces here are now going to go out in my kiln. These two pieces here will now go out in the kiln and start the drying process. All right. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed that. That's pretty much what I do to all my logs. You've got to get that pith out of there. The pith is the most unstable part of that whole entire log, and once you get it out, then the rest of the wood, you know, you'll still probably have some checking and things like that, but you generally won't get any really bad cracks. Now, some woods like cherry likes to crack, and I really hadn't found out a good way of stopping that yet. But as a general rule, these methods right here work just fine. So the quarter sawn boards that came right out of the middle, when I cut the pith out, I had basically 2 boards on either side of the pith. Cut them off with a bandsaw, and now they're in the kiln. So they'll be dried up, and that is probably the most stable wood in the whole tree. It's quarter sawn. The grain runs perpendicular with the face. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed that, and you know, as these things dry and things like that, you know, I'll be cutting them down into other blanks. I may make a vase blank or whatever, but the thing is it's good stable wood now, so we're gonna let it start drying. It may be a few years before I get to it, but I've got it now, and it's mine. One of these blanks, one of these discs that I cut off, I believe is going to be a project for the near future. It's going to be an end grain bowl, but I'll be turning it green. It's a whole lot easier to turn them green than it is to turn them when they're dry, and I usually prefer to turn them dry, but I'm going to try to turn one of these green since I've got 2 of them. But all right, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all down the road.